to another episode of the CrossFit Harrow podcast. This is episode number 87. Today we've got Ravi. Ravi, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
The first question that goes out to everyone is, what brought you, why CrossFit Harrow?
I think CrossFit Harrow because I think during lockdown, I got into the I was a bit of a fanboy of CrossFit for ages, watching all the Netflix documentaries and stuff like that. So I was after a while of at the time when I got into it or started watching it, I was really into running and stuff, so I didn't really think twice about it. And then as got away from running because of niggly injuries and stuff, started going to the gym and kind of started doing the classes, and then kind of got into that, going into gym and stuff. And then lockdown happened. It was what do I make of working out and stuff? How do I keep up with it and stuff? And it was maybe I'll try and build a box. And me and my brother-in-law built a box, so I've got one at my parents' house now.
Oh, right, have you?
Yeah. So I built one, gone to my parents' house. I was okay. And as lockdown started easing up and stuff, going back to the gym and stuff, it was enjoyed it as much going back to the gym, but I felt I just want something or someone to push me, and I was I don't really want to pay for a PT and stuff. And then kind of just Googled CrossFit around me, and the other two gyms which are closer to where I live, they had a waiting list and stuff. And then I think you guys had that no sweat session.
Yeah.
So and by the time they emailed me back, it had already been 3 ramp on sessions deep with keys and stuff. So it was I'll just stay here. So that
worked out well for you.
Yeah,
good,
so that's
good.
CrossFit Harrow,
because you've got quite an interesting journey. You actually have a degree in sports science.
Yeah.
And wanted a career in fitness. Is that right in saying?
Yeah. So I think at college I was always good at science and stuff, and sports been in my life constantly from a young age, being active. So if I put the two together, it's match made in heaven kind of thing. So great. And then I don't know what happened. It was I think the mentality of when you're at college, it's you're studying for a job. You're at uni, you're going for a job kind of thing. And then coming out of it, I was right, what job am I actually going to get? And then I thought, coaching and stuff. I did coaching badges during uni and stuff. I thought, maybe coaching's the way to go.
What sports were they in?
So I got my level 1 and 2 in football,
Oh, yeah.
level 1 in cricket.
Yeah.
Even went over to the States to coach football for a summer and stuff. So that was I was gearing up to this life and I thought I was and stuff that I did in my degree was quite biomechanics, was kind of performance analysis.
Yeah.
So I was this is me, geek out on performance,
data
tech,
and
all that sort of stuff. And then it's with sports. I thought.
Because not so long ago, probably about a decade ago actually, the whole going over to the States to do coaching was huge.
And that's
massive.
where I went. When did I go? 2008. So when it was summer of 2008, I went over.
Where did you go? Whereabouts?
Where didn't I go? I started off in California.
Oh wow.
Worked my way across. Ended up in Texas, the border of Texas and Louisiana. So deep. I call it the deep south. It's not the deep south, but met some I think the stereotypical Americans, I think you'd call it. Yeah. So I met a few interesting, and then again worked our way back to California.
And was that working with soccer in their soccer teams, right?
Yeah. So it was a UK. They're called UK International Soccer Camps at the time. They may have changed their name since then. And it was just they just went around recruiting for universities and stuff. And literally each week we'd go to a different town, city. And just coach for the week, different age groups, and depending on your level of coaching ability, you'd coach different groups. They'd hold elite sessions for we even had coaches with UEFA B coaches and stuff like that. So it ranged from beginners who are just wanting the experience to people going for it kind of thing. So
because football's getting bigger in the States. It hasn't always been.
No, exactly. And even back then, it was 2008 was it still wasn't a huge thing, because I think. Apart from it was massive because I think the women's team were
the women's team were pretty strong.
Yeah, so, and their whole setup is built around through not us where it's private clubs kind of thing. It's all built through the schools and stuff like that. So all the things that we were doing were kind of extracurricular. So the kids were already fairly enthusiastic because they were doing it in school. And
there's also the discipline that they have around that, right?
Yeah, it's a huge thing about and. Growing up playing football and having coaches and stuff, the level of respect that they have for a coach there compared to here. Not saying that the UK is awful at respecting coaches, because Sophie's looking over there looking at me. but it is a very there is a big gap. I think I would agree with that. And the parents as well. That I was only 19 when I went, And I never had that sort of like respect or authority to be like, if I said something, parents were like, listen to coach. I was like,
yeah.
I was taken back by it. So yeah, it was definitely,
It's a very different culture, right?
a different culture in terms of like, because I think where it leads you to, like respecting the coach, I think like you said, the discipline, you're in a like school, you're at university, then you become professional. Here it's like, you could be 12 playing in a park and someone goes, come have trials at the club kind of
it's
thing.
a very different setup.
It's a different setup, and it's like, actually that...
They have a better system, I think.
I think a better system for actually like, I think nurturing
Correct.
talent, whereas here is like, unfortunately, if you know someone somewhere... And
but finding talent would be better.
Yeah, finding talent, you can find talent anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that's the magic, whereas there, like, it's a bit robotic in terms of like, you're going to college, you're going to do this, there's a scheme, there's a thing that like, they listen to the 50-year-olds who have done it for 30 years, whereas I think now here, I think there's a bit more fluidity in that. There's a lot of more, I guess,
absolutely.
maverick people around.
So went to the States and done that, came back,
like graduated, and it was like, right, what am I going to do? Like, ready to hit the real world, and then 6 months had passed and couldn't find a job to save my life. Like, in anything I tried all the websites, I even went to my lecturers to be like, where do I get a head start? Like, what do I do?
And this is with a sports science degree?
This was a sports science degree, and I thought, okay. And then I thought, okay, I'll have a look around and see what, like, I was still struggling. And in that 6 months, I became a qualified personal trainer as well. Like, I think I did level 2 and level 3.
I think it's not, I wouldn't say progression is the right word, but it's a natural route to take.
Yeah.
Because some people do that through their degree. Because am I right in saying that within your degree you get avenues that you can go down?
Exactly.
Some might be rehab, some might be personal training element. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So I thought, I'll just have the personal training bit, because I thought what I was going for, like the performance analysis kind of thing, it's quite a niche kind of market in terms of like with that kind of degree. So I thought, I'll become, like, I say become a personal trainer, but I'll get the qualification. And I thought I got it, and then I think equally, like, the mindset was that once I've got a qualification, I've got a job kind of thing. So, and it never really came to fruition. Like, the jobs I was applying for, I got told I was too overqualified because they were just looking for someone just to like watch the gym basically and not really do anything. So it's like, okay, confidence got knocked down a bit, and I was like, right, my mindset then shifted. It still was there, and like, I just need a job kind of thing, as opposed to where I'm like, if I had the same, I guess, mentality now, whereas like I'm passionate about being fitness and kind of doing all that. If I had that same mentality then, in those 10 years, who knows, I could have had like my own gym, or, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what would you have done different at that time where someone was saying like, you know, you're overqualified? What would you have done?
I think I would have taken it as a positive. Or like, back then I was just like, oh, they're just saying it just because they don't want to give me the job because of that. And whereas actually, if I'd probably had the like awareness to be like, maybe I don't need, you know, the corporate gym kind of security of a job. Maybe if I did it by myself and all those type of things, then things could have turned out differently.
See, I think anyone starting in the industry, I think is very important, especially solely going down that level 2 and level 3 route of those qualifications. I think it's very important. Having seen and managed that group too, is that they start in that gym environment as a fitness coach, let's say, to firstly learn how to interact with others. Building rapport, building relationships, and then that will naturally lead you into your, let's say, your own kind of career within fitness or personal training, because it will actually determine whether you're
any good or not, passionate about it. And I think that was the thing. I was like, right, if I'm overqualified, or if I'm not, all I wanted was to get my foot in the door kind of thing. And, you know, just because I was like, I've done the qualification, like, theoretically I'm probably, in my mind I was like, theoretically I'm great because I've got all these qualifications.
And you've got, like, with your sports science degree, the things that you would have studied would have been so in depth that, like, helping someone, you would have been able to really have an impact on that, because it's not like subjective. It would have been like performance and database, right?
Exactly, yeah. So, and all of that, I thought, you know what? In my mind, I was like, it's going to happen at some point, and then it didn't happen. So I was like, okay, what actually happens now? So I was like scrambling for, like, not scrambling, but thankfully my parents weren't charging me board or anything. But yeah, I was just like, what do I do next? And then I did find a job in, I guess, sports. I worked at a cricket academy.
All right. Yeah,
so before I moved to London, I was where I'm from, back in Leicester, there's a cricket academy. And I worked there for 2 years, and I thought, again, when I first joined, I was like, great, I've, you know, love cricket.
Was it more like a strength and conditioning kind of role?
No, so this was, I came in as, they wanted to introduce like video analysis into their performance and feedback for their like the people that come to the academy.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh great, like they gave me a camera, I started started doing stuff, and then it got to the point where I was like, okay, great, and then it kind of died down in terms of like the priorities of the business. Again, it was an academy, but it was kind of like a business in its sense. So the priorities were got to keep the business running and kind of stuff. So
yeah, I mean, how many of those individuals in the academy were going on then to be, real cricket, real
yeah.
athletes?
So a lot of them like played like county level for Leicester, from like under 11s all the way up to under 16s. Some of them were playing like men's matches at 13, so the level was high, and they were like getting noticed by the county, and then like having trials for Leicestershire and like Northamptonshire, like counties locally. And then after it'd been like 2 years, and it got to the point where I was like, I'm not enjoying it, and I think again it was that mentality of like my job is like my progression, like I've got these qualifications, I'm not you putting them to use, and I was working 6 days a week, and I was like my only day off was a Thursday, and I was like, what 22-year-old has a Thursday as a day off? And it's like, where's the life? And like obviously cricket is a summer sport, so in the summer you're constantly really busy. In the winter you're busy, but in the evenings, because you come and have winter nets, so it wasn't like, it was like working from 2 p.m. till 11 at night and stuff. So it was fun. Like I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's hindsight, it wasn't a terrible experience, but at the time I was like, you wanted more. I wanted more, and I was like, okay. And again, that mindset of like having all these qualifications, like what am I actually going to do with them? And if I'm not going to put them to use, like it was like, am I just going to drop it and then think of something else? And kind of that was kind of the way I went. So I've not really didn't pick up fitness until I came to London after that. So then moved to London. I think it was 2012.
Okay.
Moved to London, and it was just like within like 10 days I saw a job, and I was working at Nike on Oxford Street just as a temp, and I was like, I talked to my parents like, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing here in like the academy and stuff. So I was like, okay, time to reassess and like figure out what to do. And for some reason it was I don't know why, but the job was on like the UK GovSport website, and I was like, look at it was like performance analyst, like internship, and then Nike working in the shop. I was like, I don't know how they relate, but it was on the website, so I just applied for the sake of it.
To both?
Yeah, I paid to both. The internship I didn't hear back, and then like Nike came back, come for an interview. Me thinking it was Nike, I was like, oh, like biomechanics, they do shoes. In my mind, that was what I was going for. Ends up I'm working in the shop, just as an
assistant,
sales assistant, but working in like the back of house, so like dealing with the deliveries, putting stock away, taking stock out, all that sort of stuff. Like, okay. And then like enjoyed it as a 22-year-old. I got my weekends back like every other time.
Yeah, so, I mean, as a 22-year-old, like working for Nike, probably looking at the discount of it all, and like those kind of things. And being in London again, like I studied in London, went back to Leicester, and then came back to London. So again, being back in London, the Olympics won, so everything was. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. So it was a good summer, like it was buzzing, like, so it was definitely worth being around. And then just worked my way up slightly, like within like management and stuff like that at Nike, and then kind of thought, okay. So Nike's where it kind of took off, and it is Nike, isn't it? It's not Nike. It's not Nike. No, so you say Nike, you can't. Yeah. Like, well, I said it because you said it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's habit. So if you call it a tick, I called it a tick once, and you just get looks. So it's a swoosh. So, it's a swoosh. Yeah. So it is Nike and not Nike. Yeah. Okay. British just. Do what I want, so just butcher it up. But yeah, so worked my way up like through management and stuff, and that's where it kind of kicked off in terms of career-wise, because working in like back of house and stuff, like I learned like operationally how to work, and that kind of piqued my interest. Like it was all kind of like data and like. Well, I was gonna say with the data background, like studying that's so it was all like, right, well, we've got to get this many units in. We're selling this, we're doing this, so that kind of like piqued my interest and kind of got into it a bit more. So Nike kind of took the turn for you with regards to like taking the passion from fitness out of it, and actually like moving more towards operation career-wise. Exactly, yeah. And then again, Nike like
got me into running. I wasn't big into like running, like played football, so that was my running. But yeah, just got into running, like did my like first half marathon that year as soon as I came to London. So I did like, I think it was called Run to the Beat. So it was like a Nike ran or sponsored event down in Greenwich. So that was my first, like got into like, within that summer I'd like trained for a half marathon, like really got into running. And all my time during Nike was like running was...
Well, with all the shoes, the clothing,
exactly,
you had it all,
yeah.
right?
It was like all the gear, but no idea. It was like when I came here to the first session, I had like Metcons and Matt Fraser t-shirt. Like, how do you know you're a CrossFitter without CrossFitting? So like got into running, and that was it. Like got the bug of like, you know, getting into fitness again, and like having
found passion in a different way.
Yeah, so it wasn't necessarily like, my passion wasn't related to my career or directly related to my salary or like rent or anything like that. It was just like, I enjoy going back to enjoying why I enjoyed sports and running or in any fitness in the first place. So that kind of like picked it up, and then I think from the Nike kind of like moved on to figuring out kind of what I wanted to do. And I thought, I've got a data analysis kind of background in the sports like science, and then applying in different places, and then moved on to work at Ralph Lauren after Nike. So worked there like within the logistics team and like the merchandising teams. Again, like understood like it's all kind of like putting a puzzle together. Like, we need to get this from here to here in the most logical way. We need to make sure we've got enough stock in every store we've got. So that kind of like, so I guess career-wise, it kind of led to being in that kind of data analysis, kind of like looking at spreadsheets. But in that time, like, I think my passion for fitness just grew and grew, just because it was getting more and more detached away from kind of like what I thought uni was like. It has to be together. Yeah. But the fact that my career was going one way in the way I thought and how I approached my career, like it left more space to, you know, pick up that passion for fitness again.
Sometimes it's like, it's difficult, isn't it? Because like you may have a passion or be very good at a particular sport or fitness, and naturally think that's going to be your career, and actually in fact it could be the total, like, you know, it could be the total opposite.
Exactly, yeah. And I think the thing that when it comes to like now, like my mentality is like, if I had the mentality of like, I don't have to link them so closely so quickly, like, then I probably would have stuck at it a bit longer and had that passion, or let the passion grow to then. But
also you it could have gone the other way, and being involved in fitness and having a passion for fitness could have clashed heads at some point, and like that, you know, the element of like burning out or losing that passion for it because you're in it all the time.
Yeah, and I was even thinking, like, I was thinking in the drive, like you as a business owner as well, like you've got the passion for, like, you know, you want to help people. At the same time, you've got to think about, you've got to pay the light bill, you've got like everything as a business owner. Like at some point, like you said, it would have clashed, and I think I would have had that point where I'm like, do I resent being the business owner because of my passion, because I want people to be fit? But like there's always
I can openly say that, you know, I've had times where I'm like, my own fitness has declined, or I've taken my foot off the gas because they've bumped heads, and one takes priority over the other, and it's just, you know, being in it for so long, sometimes my fitness isn't maybe a priority to helping others in the business or running the business. And is it as important? Probably not. I mean, it's important to a degree. It's important for me to be healthy and fit, but equally at the same time, it's very important that this is operational.
Exactly. So I think that was the thing as well. Like, if I would go like in the self-employed or any of those routes, to be like, can I be selfless enough to take myself back, take a step away, to be focused on just not my own fitness, but things around me. And I think that split that I had with my career and stuff has definitely helped. So and then after Ralph Lauren, I guess it was I think after that I was like, what do I learn next? So I learned, like, I guess, like being in the store at Nike, you learn like how a brand operates, because you're in the energy, you're at the last point of between customer and product. And then at Ralph Lauren, it was like getting all that stuff to the customer. And then I wanted to learn, well, how to even make the stuff in the first place. Because I look at spreadsheets, I don't really comprehend what 30,000 t-shirts looked like. When I saw an order, like 30,000 t-shirts.
What's
like,
that?
What does that even mean? Like, because even though like the seasons and everything, how it works, you're buying so much in advance, like how everything works. So it's like,
they're probably already setting up now for next summer.
Year. Yeah, it's like 9, 12 month, 18 month cycles of like buying and stuff. So it never comprehends I never understood what 30,000 meant, because it just comes in, it goes, and it's just like, it's just a number on a spreadsheet or in a system. So I was like, and I never when someone says, oh, something's delayed, I was like, nah, it doesn't matter. No, we need to get it over. And didn't understand, I couldn't comprehend, you know, the amount of work that goes into making something like that, because factories are all over in Asia. So I thought I need to, for my own career or to my own understanding, to like understand that. So and that's where like Camden Town kind of came into it. So that's
because it's a very interesting where you've kind of flipped now. You're at Camden Town Brewery, right?
Yeah, so that's like
so from Ralph Lauren, that led you to Camden Town Brewery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was last April. So like lockdown 1 was when I started. So so that was all. Now I'm kind of like part of the planning team. So like sit at the brewery. They've got the 2 breweries, one in Camden, the big one in Enfield, and they seeing how stuff gets made is like it makes sense.
It kind of takes it
puts everything into perspective.
But obviously a very different, you know, industry as such. You know, it's now alcohol and drinks and everything else.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's definitely, I think, moving from like Ralph Lauren, where we plan like 9-12 months in advance, this is like 2-3 weeks turnaround. Like you make beer in 4 weeks, you got to pack it, you got to get it out. Like
with all the people, you know, you joining just before the lockdown.
Yeah.
That would have been quite a crucial period, right? Because that brewery the production would have probably toned down quite a bit.
Massively, yeah. And I think it started on like the third week of like lockdown I started, and then I got there, I got given a laptop, I was sent home, so I didn't see anyone for like 8 weeks. So it was probably the most weirdest thing to like
starting a new job and not meeting anyone,
not meeting people, and you don't really and you can Zoom people and you only talk about work, but to build that relationship, you don't like Zoom someone. Oh, hey, did you watch? Like, you don't. It's really weird that you don't do it. Yeah, especially back then, because like Zoom was like a novelty, and working from home was a bit of a novelty. But as an industry, like the volume tanked, but equally like cans and bottles just went through the roof in terms of production, because people were just drinking at home, and a lot of people were furloughed. So like, what do you do? And
was there a new? Well, there might have been a market before, but it was kind of a new and improved market of obviously the brewery would have always been putting things in cans and bottles, but because of the lockdown, it was a lot more like, we know that people are going to buy this at home. We need to tap into different stores, get that out to stores.
I think so, but I think they were pretty much everywhere when I joined. They were in, like, you could go to any supermarket, you'd find them. So you can't. So for the size of the brewery and to where it's got to, it's like phenomenal for the amount of like output that we put out for the 2 breweries and stuff. And now that since January we've been taken over by like ABI, which are Budweiser. Okay. So like they're the parent company now. So like we've got like this untapped resource of just like other breweries as well. So it's definitely like, and just so going back to, I guess, understanding where everything works and how it all goes, like those like Discovery Channel shows where you like how everything's made. I watch those. I love those. You think, oh, this is actually exactly how it works. Like you see the like machines spinning and everything. It's just like,
it blows my mind how they make the machines to do the things that they do.
Yeah.
It like from production to like how you make a a magnet to how you even to put something together like this. You know, it's incredible.
So that was like, I was standing there, like you can stand over, there's a viewing point on top of the brew from the top, and you just look at it and think, wow. And you see like everything, how it is on the shows, conveyor belts, like just machines just pushing everything together, putting it in.
I just don't understand how.
And like, I when they talk about it, like the engineering team talk about all the bits and technical stuff, I'm like, oh wow.
Because it would have been a group of people, right? Get together, brainstorms how they make it.
Yeah.
That information would have had to have gone into a computer or a code or something.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, a signal to something, like you turn it on and it goes.
Yeah, like we've got like a robot that picks up kegs, empty kegs, turns it around, knows where to put it, and knows when to pick up the full ones to put it on another pallet. And I'm like, even just the robot, I watch the robot all day. Like, not getting
but there is actually a lot of, there's been a lot of shows recently because Someone who previously came here had one day visited the Amazon, one of the Amazon warehouses, and in there they have so much artificial intelligence for the like picking and packing of. I actually a long time ago worked for a company that used to pick and pack, a sports company, and I worked in the sales and customer department team. But sometimes going out to a warehouse, you would see physically people go into like C123, pick that out, pack that, next box, but machines are taking over completely. Yeah,
because a couple of colleagues went to the big brewery that Budweiser have in the UK, and they've got exactly the same thing. Like any finished good pallets, literally there's a robot that goes up like stacks on stacks on stacks, and it just goes in, out, knows where to pick it, knows everything.
Rows and rows
and there. And he showed me that our bottle machine runs at 10,000 bottles an hour.
Okay,
so
that's huge.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
The Budweiser one, you can't even see the bottles spin because it's going around that quickly. It boggles like.
And then it's all box packed, goes into a trolley or lorry, and then
and it's out. Yeah, so like our typical beer, like it takes 4 weeks to brew. So within 5 to 6 weeks, you could have beer that was like fresh beer that was made like.
Is it hops that are in?
Hops are in there. You got malt and barley and stuff like that. So so it's like 4 ingredients to make beer, depending on the type of beer. So there's like our Indian Pale Ale takes 2 weeks to brew.
Okay.
So depending on what type of beer you have, 4 weeks is the max.
And this is usually like sold out to supermarkets, or it's definitely not, obviously because it's on a large scale. It wouldn't be to individuals, right?
Well, we've got a web shop, but like you can't walk it. You can't just rock up to the brewery and be like, I'll buy a can.
Yeah. It's all distribution.
It's all distributed, and then we like kegs obviously and all that sort of stuff. So it's. But like the smaller brewery in Kentish Town, like in Camden, they do all like the fun stuff, like the innovation stuff. So like we just made a beer with Marmite.
Why you either love it or hate it?
Literally, the marketing team it's called Love It or Hate It.
Oh,
so
right.
So we do all sorts of stuff like that. So there's definitely understanding like how the effort that it takes to make a beer. So that's like career-wise, I've like got every piece of the puzzle of like I know how stuff's made now, I know how to get it there. Executing, so like the whole career thing kind of like
has come together,
and it's like a lot of fun especially at the brewery. It's like a lot of fun to actually see it get made, and you work in beer, so it's not exactly like
I mean, does it mean that you indulge in a few bevers?
I try. I mean, you spend so much time around it, you try and not all the time, and equally like again kind of like contradicts like the fitness lifestyle. Exactly. So I'm not like rocking up and then coming here to do like a class
not at 6 a.m.
not at 6 a.m. It's part, I guess, one of the perks of the job to enjoy the products that we make. Like it's good stuff, so you can't.
So no regrets of fitness, not as a career?
No, I think there's always that little bit of what if, because I think looking at where like how much fitness has taken over or grown like from in the last 10 years, like the last 5 years, even the last like 18 months because of lockdown and all that sort of stuff, like the importance of it. I think if I'd have started 10 years ago, I would have probably like been doing something different. But I think hindsight now is like I'm glad that I've still got my passion for it outside of like a career. It's not like dependent on what I do for work. So I'm definitely happy that I've got that as a passion now.
Happy that fitness hasn't worked out in that sense. You found your like destiny, let's say. Been to America. What have you ever been to other places in the world? Is it through career or holidays and stuff?
Holidays, I've been to last holiday was India. I went for a wedding and stuff, so been to India, and it was the first time I went in like 20 years. So the first time I went was like I was 10, but I got really ill. So it was like one of those things. And
have you got a lot of family?
So I've got like my dad's side of the family that are still there. So the first time I went, just for the first time of going, so went to like Delhi and all that, and then got really ill as in like I needed drips, and I was in a hospital for like 2-3 days. So
what was?
I think I drank the water by accident, and so like because at 10 I was like I think I'd been out playing cricket or something like cousins or whatever, and like, came back I was thirsty, like had a swig of water, and it's not something you're not meant to do, like coming from water from the UK. So then next thing you know, like hurling everything up, like couldn't keep anything down, and I can't remember, but Mum was like, we need to take him to hospital.
Did you get off lightly? Like it could have been more serious?
I think so. Like the doctors were saying it was like malaria, but I wasn't sure if it was. I don't know if they were just like saying it just for the sake of something that I could understand, but just because like my mum was like, no, it's fine. Like there's me like sitting there on a drip like in a hospital like. What's like as a 10-year-old? As a 10-year-old, thinking, no, like it's like all 10 years have flashed before your eyes. And then so since then it was like parents have been back, like everyone's been back like multiple times, and I was just like reluctant to go back just because of the fear of like. I
could imagine it would have probably scarred you, right?
Yeah, so it was. I was like, something I would always made something up like. Uni, got to focus on like exams, and like mum's like, at least he's focusing. Like, messed up the exams, but as long as I was like pretending, and then like work and stuff, and I was like, I can't afford it now or whatever. So, and then cousin was getting married, so like, okay, can't not skip out on a wedding. So went back and thankfully I was fine. Been to Singapore a couple of times as well. So
there's that 7-star hotel in is it 7-star hotel in Singapore?
I think so. Yeah, there's the Marina Bay Sands with the boat on top.
Yeah.
So didn't stay there. My cousin lives out there, so I stayed with her. Yeah, because she got married and they like partnered like moved over there, and that was amazing. Like
Singapore nice.
It's ridiculous. Like it's like I think it's only as big as like London or the M25 or something. But
really?
Yeah, it's not that big, but it's. As a place, like it's
what's like I had no idea what's like lifestyle there. What's kind of weather like?
Weather is like it's constantly like 27, 28. It's humid, so I think it's like on the equator, so it never. But we never get like they never have like the long days like we have in the summer because I think where it sits on the earth, but it's 27, 30 degrees every day.
Wow,
you can't. It's humid, but. You'll take it.
Absolutely.
Like not complaining.
And
I think there's a lot of expats out there. I think it's become a lot of like become a like a financial hub for Asia in that area, that part of the world. But it's just clean. Like everyone's like so nice. Like the first time I went, my cousin just like she just put a purse down to reserve the table. If you go to put your purse down here to like reserve a table.
It might not be there.
It won't be there. She's left her phone at places. People just pick up and give it to her.
Wow.
And I was like, so there's a huge respect for like people's belongings and all that sort of stuff. So, like culturally, it's a big place, but like not a nicer place. But I think if you compare it to like here, could that be expanded everywhere? It's like one of those things. Like it could work in like small pockets, but. For it to be
as things get bigger too, it's harder to maintain that.
Exactly. Like if I look at UK, like Bristol's like an amazing place to go.
Yeah, Bristol's nice. Yeah,
I love Bristol, and then like how everyone like just I guess how it works is quite kind of a lefty city. And if you think can it work, then you think you expand it to like London. It's like there's so many more people in London though. It's a struggle. So so Singapore's been one of the last places I went to, and then. Traveling wise, I always want to go to Iceland. Yeah, just because the Northern Lights are just amazing.
I've been there. It's pretty cool.
Like, friends have been there, and just like they're just speechless.
The Blue Lagoon was probably one of the best experiences I've had.
Really?
Yeah, it was just being like you don't get lots of hours of daylight either. So going into that water, the lagoon, like it was just unreal. That's
one of the places I want to go, but equally. Getting there now, obviously with COVID. It's on the list. Definitely go.
Working with Ralph Lauren must have. I mean, you may or may not have travelled with Ralph Lauren, but did you travel with Ralph Lauren?
I did. My first ever store visit was to Bicester, so it wasn't. I thought, it was like great, we're going on a store visit.
I spent a lot of money in that Ralph Lauren one.
Yeah,
I think. I just got. My student overdraft.
Yeah.
I didn't finish uni. I left after 3 months. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't the right time. But I was given a student overdraft, and
it's almost like free money.
And I'd also just been paid for the work that I'd been doing.
Yeah.
I went to Ralph Lauren on that day, and I fucked up big time.
Yeah.
I just bought everything. I ended up paying that off for God knows how long.
Yeah, so
just getting out of that overdraft.
Since I've left, we've not been back to that store. So
but they moved. It's not in the same spot. They've moved it because it was one of the biggest shops in Bicester. But I don't think it is anymore.
It's the biggest because it's like the
biggest outlet.
It's the biggest outlet for Ralph Lauren.
Yeah,
I think in the world now.
Is it? All right.
Yeah, so there's one in New York, but I think square footage. Yeah, and stuff, the bosses back then were like it's but it's still big. But first store visit was Bicester, and then after that, managed to go to Italy because the warehouse was in Italy, so that was really nice. Yeah. And
whereabouts in
Serravalle, so like Bologna, so like north. And that was the first time I had like stone baked pizza properly from like, and it changed my. I was like,
your taste buds for pizza.
Yeah, my like the food was cooked fresh, like pasta was like. Now I'm like, I've got this dry like pasta in a bag. Like, the more expensive stuff in the fridge is like, I'm looking at that, but gotta stick to it.
I think when you eat in Italy, it is a very different experience to eating Italian food.
It was great, and this was like what they call like a chain restaurant, but it didn't taste like one. The manager of the Italian store we went to was like, go here, you'll like it's not authentic. He said it's not authentic, but to us we're like, yeah, we'll take it. Yeah, we'll take it. Travelers like tourists and stuff.
So what age were you when you were at Ralph Lauren?
So I
Mid-20s?
joined. Yeah, so I joined 2016. So I'd have been 26, 27.
Your wardrobe must have been full of Ralph Lauren.
I mean, I'm wearing, It's like I've got really nice trainers and really nice clothes, and I can drink beer now. So and drink beer looking good. So
you got great fitness clothing, great social clothing, and great beer all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. So
ticked all the boxes, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I'm fortunate to work for all these companies and stuff, and I think the perks are just the nice thing, the iceberg. Like
what were some of like if you're allowed to say some of the perks at Ralph Lauren or even Nike even.
Nike were, I think the in-store discount was fairly decent. Like it was close to half price.
Wow.
So you can imagine like every month be like, I'll just get some trainers. Like when I bought my flat, like I need to have a cupboard just for trainers.
I mean, I worked in sports retail. I worked at when I was 16, not 15, 16, 17, I worked at JD Sports, and at one point I owned 22 or 23 pairs of trainers. It's easily done. When you work for a sports retailer, it's very easily done.
I've still got a load of trainers at my parents' house, but they're still trying to get me to take.
Sometimes you don't want to get rid of them.
Well, she's like, just take them to your place because you've got the space for it. I was, I will.
Yeah.
I just haven't. I was like, and to be fair, I've not worn them for a year, so I don't really miss them too much.
That's the other thing, right?
Since then I bought more. So it's
because it's in your head. It's like, well, I know that I've got them, and even though you haven't worn them for a year, you're like, but I don't really want to throw them away.
So it's nice, and it's just nice to just have trainers.
Because you obviously got like access to knowing what was coming out, or you could keep your size in the storeroom. People got sacked for that. Really?
Yeah, so there's a big thing.
No, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. Oh, the trainers look nice. Yeah. We weren't allowed. Like we've seen people like lose it. Like especially for.
It's just what's left, right?
It's just what's left. Like because the whole thing is, especially ones which got like hyped around. Like I think the first year I was at Nike, like Kanye West had done his collaboration with like Nike and stuff, so his Yeezy trainers were getting sold at the store.
Did he do it? Is it not with Adidas? Did he not do it?
It was with Adidas. So this was, so before it was with Nike. And
I didn't know that. I thought it was always Adidas.
Yeah, so he did like 2 or 3 releases with Nike, and the shoes, people were like, the manager who was like taking care of the launch, people were bothering her for like 2 weeks before the launch. They were telling like they knew the staff exit and entrance. I've seen people do stupid stuff for trainers. Like it's.
Well, there is a whole market in that, isn't there? Because a lot of lot of people, whether you want to call them like YouTubers or whatever, like will try to get into that industry of like buying really exclusive trainers or sourcing them for celebrities.
Exactly. Yeah, and I've seen people like. I've seen people have a fight outside the store. I've seen people like have a taxi ready, waiting, the car open. Just literally, the dude just runs in, shuts the door. They've driven off because someone's chasing them because they want to steal the trainers.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I was like, this is the middle of London. It's 10 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And people are going like, it's mad. Like
it must be quite hard that someone coming into the store wanting to try on a pair of trainers, put them on both pairs on their feet. These are some of the things that we experience too. Like. And you're like, is this guy going? Is he going to run? You're like, are you going to like? It's not worth chasing because it's always safety first, right? But it does happen.
It does happen, yeah. But thankfully, like I think the way that like Nike have done it quite well was that to to get to those trainers, you're going to go up 2 flights of escalators, and there's only escalators, so you're either like patiently waiting, and by then hopefully someone's like, there's enough people, staff or security.
Well, actually, the general rule, right, is only to let them try one.
Yeah, but it
doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, you try, like, I remember the first Boxing Day I worked. It's mad. Like, you think people, you know the maths behind how they're selling stuff, so you think, okay, but I've seen people like, we'll open the store like 8:30 on Boxing Day, waiting outside, they run upstairs, and you see all the like the sitcoms, you know, like the sitcoms where people are fighting over like these, like, and you think, oh no, it never happens. It happens, like properly it happens, and you think, wow, like, and again, like, when I think working for the company, you think, it's great for the numbers and stuff, but culturally, like, where do we lead to, like, to want to?
Obviously, we're coming up to Black Friday. In fact, when this gets released, will probably be that same week, and stores will be going nuts.
Well, people have like Black Friday weeks now, don't they?
Months even now. They're starting
like,
now.
Amazon is like, they've got a whole week event of just like putting stuff on, and people are like, oh, you save money, and it's like, everyone's gonna buy a lot more stuff. And fair enough, like, I'm surprised it's come over. Like, an American friend of mine is like, I don't even know why you guys have Black Friday. It means nothing to you guys, but now it's just a thing.
It's sales, right? You're just creating a sense of urgency for whatever it is. And a lot of people don't really actually need what they want to buy. It's like, oh, it's gone from 100 quid to like 75. I'm saving 25 quid. Actually, you're not saving 25 quid. You're spending 75 because you don't need it.
Yeah, or like, since when does everyone need? Like, it seems like everyone needs a 55-inch TV. Comes like 26th of November. Like, since when have you needed it?
Absolutely.
So it's like, well, I've seen people like fighting Asda for a TV. Like the last ones, you think you don't even recognize the name, and you're still fighting for it just because it's gone down to like 200 quid. But like, who knows? But it's a strange way that I think people, or how we've all been like, just buy.
And obviously, Ralph Lauren had a very different clientele.
It did, like, the people were still after a bargain. Like, people still want to look good for less.
For less,
But
and that's why people go to Bicester, right?
People love it. I think it got to a point where, like, it's part of like a London tour. Like,
people, oh really?
Yeah, like a London tour would ship you out to Bicester to go for shopping and stuff like.
For me,
it's an experience.
Yeah, it's an experience. Yeah, I mean, I've been up there not recently. So I've been up there since I spent all that money when I was, and I've never gone there and spent that much money because a lot of the stuff wasn't needed. Like, fine, I did never buy clothes for a longer period of time again. Like, I think I had at the time Ralph Lauren was huge, and I think every polo was in a different colour. Yeah. That same year I went to the States actually. Yeah. And the polos were even cheaper out in the States. Yeah. But it just, the novelty wears off. But you're right, people do want to look good. Yeah. So good for less.
Yeah, and the clientele was I think have a bit more money, they enjoy kind of dressing up and stuff. So I think the clientele differs from, I guess, Nike. Like, anyone can just wear. Yeah. Anyone can wear Nike, and it's not. But
there's always, like, you know, you kind of, even at Ralph Lauren, there'll always in those kind of shops there'll always be someone who is up to the same shenanigans as what they would do at Nike and go mad in those respects, you know. Yeah,
I mean, I've seen people just go there and you see them rack up like £3,000-4,000 worth of stuff,
and people try to steal them, and then if they're successful stealing them, they'll try to return it, right, and get a refund.
At Nike, I've seen all sorts of stuff. Like,
it's crazy.
Especially if it's like an inside job. Like, it's like, you see people return stuff, and the next thing you know, they've just whacked on extra on this gift card, and like the stuff that people can get up to. Yeah, it's rather clever, but at the same time, you just think, like why? Yeah, people are addicted to it. But
so they introduced those security tags with ink in them, right? So this was quite a few years ago. You tried to break that, ink would go everywhere. It was obvious that you tried to steal it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I don't know what they do now, but when I was leaving Nike, they got to the point where they're just like, we're not going to put tags on because we'll trust the customer. Like, our customer service should deter, because apparently, and it does work. Like, if you go up to someone and say, hey, how are you? Like, the paranoia of someone trying to nick something, be like, oh no, we've been sussed out, and then they'll just put it back. So that whole thing, so it kind of works, kind of doesn't. But yeah, Ralph Lauren, everything was tagged. So when we went to a store visit, you just see everything's tagged, and because you don't want an £800 jacket being stolen or anything. It's not.
Yeah, I would imagine at Bicester, like in that place in particular, that store, they would, because people come from all over the UK to go to Bicester, like Liverpool, Manchester, they come down just to go to Bicester Village. However, there is one. There's one in Swindon, isn't there? There's a smaller one in Swindon.
There's a smaller one in Swindon, yeah, which is. I've been to Swindon as well, yeah. So as you can see, Ralph Lauren's the store visits. The visits.
That's where I went. In fact, I actually remember that me and a friend of mine at the time, we went to the one in Bicester, and it either didn't have what we wanted, or it was closing. It was closed. They were refurbing the shop, so we drove from Bicester to Swindon that very same day, and we got there like 15 minutes before it shut. Crazy. Do stupid things when you want something.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's definitely. I think Swindon was equally just as nice a store, but again, it caters to who's in Swindon and like to the price point there. Whereas at Bicester, you're expecting a certain person to spend a certain amount. So
because some of the shops, regardless whether it be Nike, Ralph Lauren, whatever shop, they will what the stock they have in store will reflect the demographics that are around that area, right?
Exactly, and like who comes to that kind of store. So at Bicester, like when I was there. Because there's a huge like Chinese tourism, we'd make sure there's a lot more smaller sizes just for knew that like Chinese tourists would be coming, and they would come in and want to spend a lot of money. So we made sure that they were
stocked in those areas.
In those smaller sizes, where what we'd send to like maybe a Dutch or a German store, generally or naturally a lot taller than most countries, we'd send the bigger stuff there. And there was actually a market for like big and tall kind of stuff in like Holland.
Yeah, like
and Germany.
size like 14, 15 shoes.
Yeah,
like that's
that,
insane.
Like
I'd probably fit in that.
And like and like size like length was like 42 leg or like long. And I was like, I've even met those customers like walking around the stores like, and you see them like, oh, can you make sure you have this in? I was like, yeah, sure, all right.
Would you often get like, well, maybe not often, but would you experience that? Get those customers in and have things ready for them on their next visit?
Yeah, so one of the stores in Holland was specifically had like a list of clients who like wanted this big and tall kind of product, and would go, because again, it's like sourced quite. It's not like a huge market for it, so to get it, we'd always make sure we'd send it to that particular store,
right.
and that store would then call the customers like, we've got this, and this. Come down, and it adds that kind of like personal touch to the whole Ralph Lauren experience.
It's a customer experience, isn't it? Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that was a big thing. So yeah, and then, but yeah, I think that was like the biggest thing in terms of like
and all through this is like training well and maintaining fitness.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think, becoming an obsession or an addiction to wanting to get better and stuff. And I think coming here, like having done like, I think going to the gym is fine, and you do like the half-hour classes, which actually turn into like a 20-minute class. You think, oh, you've got a workout,
levels of fitness,
you've got a certain level of fitness. Come here and you're like literally doing it for 50 minutes, like literally like constant 50 minutes. It's a completely different like amount of effort that you need to put in.
Yeah, and how you feel during it, how you feel after.
Yeah, like when I feel after, like okay, first like a few minutes, just about catching my breath and like panting and whatever, but there's just that feeling as soon as I've got back in the car, I was like, oh, do you know, I should have done one more rep, or I knew I should have. Like, there's that obsession to like want to do more,
get better.
And I guess it's called like, I would class it as like a healthy addiction, like and
well, there certainly could be worse addictions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which is like when people say, "Oh, you obsess about it," or you're constantly wanting to work out, and why do you do it? It's like, one, I enjoy it because like my mum rang me this morning. She goes, "Why don't you go swimming, go to the sauna?" I was like, it's not me. I want to be like dying after 50 minutes. I feel like I've worked out, and like from running, like mentally as well, like I know that I've worked out like that whole kind of like oxygen to the brain kind of thing, like from a mental perspective. Like after I worked out, probably waddle like a penguin for a few days after leg day, or like this week has been frustrating all week.
A lot of legs.
So but I feel like
feel amazing after.
I'm mentally like ready for work, because I think come into it prepared, and it's like.
What have you seen as your biggest change since starting CrossFit? Whether physically or.
I think mentally to push myself. I think where like a gym workout, you're doing it for maybe like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds rest kind of thing. You do your 10 reps and you can rest. But here it's like, no, you're just going until you hear someone say stop, and it's like or you do an AMRAP, you're just doing as much as you can. and it's just pushing you to constantly just keep on doing as much as you can. Like you could do the workout, like I think the workout Wednesday was like 30, 20, 10 or whatever it was, that you could do it if you had like infinite amount of time. Like it's not a hard workout, but when you like squeezing it in, you've got 15 minutes. It's like, I think there was a quote, someone's like, if you give yourself 3 hours to clean your room, you're doing 3 hours, but if you give yourself like 3 days, it'll take you 3 days.
Exactly.
Kind of so like, and so that kind of like mentality, like, right, 15 minutes, like
I need to get this work done in this time period.
And it's like a huge like mental thing to be like,
that's actually a very good way to look at it. I think us as coaches try to always give the right advice with like, to get the very best out of this workout, it needs to be done in this time. That's a good way to put it,
and that kind of thinking to be like, right, especially when it's an AMRAP, because in my mind I'm like, oh, how much can I do myself? And it's like, okay,
it's a big mental test, right? AMRAPs.
And you think, oh, it's just a 12-minute one. You think, oh, 12 minutes, I'm gonna get this done. The number that you thought of, you halve it and think, right, it's like, right, as long as I get to that number, then I'll be fine, or just past it or something. So so like mentally, it's a big thing, and probably like, and physically as well. Like, I don't think I've moved certain ways that I have since I've been here, like pull-ups and stuff. Like done them on like the machines at the gym, but like doing like the box jumps the other day was like jumping pull-ups and stuff is completely different to how you do maybe a normal pull-up with the bands or something, just to help you. So
it's all different ways of
moving and and like.
So it's been really positive. It's been really positive for you.
Yeah, it's definitely been positive, and actually definitely encouraged a lot more. I think before we changed over to the different like fitness pro and all that sort of
tracks,
stuff, like but even before that, when we're just like, there was a lot more strength work, and kind of like, I never really did like 1 rep maxes or anything like that. It was just, I'd go to the gym, do my 3 sets of 10 for each arm or like whatever movement or each body part, and then just move on, and that was it. But to like, I think getting the perspective of the coaches and how the programming works and stuff, it's like, right, okay, I know I can do it now, whereas before I was always a bit nervous about doing it.
No, that's good to hear.
1 rep maxes and stuff. So so it's definitely like, that's good. When I go back to the gym like by myself, it's like, I know I can do.
Yeah, it's more. You have more confidence.
Confidence. Do like, I can do like legs and do 5-3-1 and not have to like worry, or
because you can't get out, you can't bail out of it.
Or like, am I going to get enough out of that workout and stuff like that? So like,
I think that's the biggest thing, right? But people assume that the more volume, the more it's better, but actually not necessarily. I mean, I always use the example of when I was taught on my level 2 for CrossFit, the workout because on each of those days you always do a workout. And on that day was the coach led a hour of deadlifts, and the deadlift like format was like sets of 3-3-3, 2-2-2, 1-1-1, and we'd done that for an hour. And by the end of it, and we were all well-conditioned individuals. We only had 9 sets of 9 sets in total, but we were all fried. Like, we had the very best hour, purely because sometimes less is actually more.
It was like yesterday, I think, like the thrusters, like just ones, or like even like 5. I think 5 thrusters, like, you
doesn't sound
like, smash thrusters out like for fun usually, or like wall balls or whatever, and and you think, actually no, it's a lot to get it all. And so I think that whole part of like transferring all that to from CrossFit into like normal fitness, or however you think, is like definitely helped or changed perspective.
So Ravi, what are the plans then for you fitness wise, or even personal plans? What have you got moving forward, like next 6 months? What do you want out of it?
Personally, I think personal wise, I think just carry on. Like, I'm enjoying work. I can't complain about where I work and who I work with and stuff. So I think that as long as that can stay as it is, then I'll be happy for the next 6 months. Fitness wise, I just want to. I think just carry on. I think I like made like a decent enough start. I think I had like COVID like 3 weeks ago, so like stopped in between and stuff. So like now that kind of got all that out of the way, just be like, if I'm consistent, then I'll see like the results and stuff. So I want to like lead into like 2022.
Consistent training,
and
making progressions.
So I think I've coming here like the 3 sessions. Like, used to, like, before I joined, it was like I'd go to the gym like 4 or 5, even 6 times and not feel sore. Coming here 3 times a week and actually need to rest, like genuinely genuinely need to rest like 2-3 days just to like get back and like, and even just stretching and stuff. Like before it was like stretching, like, it's not a thing.
It's important, right?
It's like, now I'm like massively important. Like, there's some like, I can't even stretch down to do certain things. I'm like, oh, that needs to get better, kind of thing, or like in every aspect. So so that's kind of like, I guess, just changing the way I think about how I approach workouts and stuff, and not just think, right, those 6 workouts I was doing before, can I get, like you said, like can I get it in more into 3?
Yeah,
and
I think
that's
approaching it each workout and getting what you can out of that workout, as opposed to try and fit in the volume of 6 days just because I need to work out and feel for 6 days.
I think and then mentally I was like, well, I've worked 6 days, it's fine. Whereas now I'm like 3 days and like feeling it a lot more.
The intensity is great. The
intensity is a lot higher. I'm feeling it more. Like even I think the way I eat now. Before I was like, I watch what I eat when I was doing it, but now I'm like, actually no, I need to like eat the certain things.
Fuel for your workouts.
Yeah. So if I have like a crappy meal, or if I don't have the time to make lunch.
You feel it.
I feel it. So I'm like those kind of changes, like, and it's like ticking like so it's making a big difference. So so those are the things I think. Just be more consistent in that and turning up, and like hopefully I hope I've made like improvements since I've joined, so I want to just carry on seeing
absolutely.
those.
I think you've lost a lot of weight since you first
thanks.
joined.
I
can tell you that when you walked in, I didn't get a chance to.
Yes.
But no, I mean it makes a huge difference, right? Movement is key. Good food is key.
Yeah, so those are the things I think I want to carry on, and like doing like all the different things that like some of the movements I've never even thought about doing, but to be able to achieve those like in the next 6 months, 12 months would be like massive like boost, because in my mind I always think that another reason I joined CrossFit, because being good at a little bit of everything just helps, because just in case like one mate goes, do you want to go for a run, and be like,
yeah, you can
I can do it, or I couldn't always I don't think it ever happens, but if someone just throws on like, let's just work out,
and you feel like you can, you want to feel like you physically can do anything.
Exactly, and I think like CrossFit probably does that in every aspect. So I'd want to be like, if a mate goes, leg day, do you want to do it? Like, I can do my own leg day. I don't need to be like squatting 15 plates on either side or whatever and like be massive, but I can hold my own kind of thing. So so that's like what I want to be able to like.
Good.
So that's the goal. Yeah.
Nice. Ravi, we've run out of time for today, unfortunately. Thank you so much.
No worries, man. Thank you for having me.
And we look forward to consistently learning these new movements and ticking all those boxes for 2022.
Yeah, no, perfect. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. See you next week.